Welcome. You're listening to Tom,
Mike,
I am
in the PM.
right here at A2DRadio.com. We are live from the BMW Atlantic City studios. Every Wednesday night, we're brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com. Tom Arnone, Michael Mataraki, Sean Redden, Rob Povey on the ones and twos, and it's going to be another night of a lot of Eagles talk, dissecting the Eagles. Later on, we'll finish off the show. We'll talk about Doug Peterson's first season, and we'll compare it to other rookie head coaches, either here in Philadelphia that have been here and what success they've had or lack of success around the league this year, and just wherever we want to go with that, and just compare them and dissect Doug a little bit on where we think he is, and we'll let the people know, and they can ask us questions on where they think Doug Peterson is in his first year. You know, I don't think there's a big rush of judgment after year one, but we'll talk about Doug and everything like that. But the main thing we're going to get into is dissecting this whole Eagles front office from top, bottom, all the way down. And that brings up our poll question brought to you by Scanzano Sports. Find on the web, scanzanosports.com. As an Eagles fan, which would you most like to see? Lurie sells the team. Lurie more hands-on, more Jerry-ish. Howie Roseman axed, fired. And there's some passion behind that one. General manager hired, and there's a lot of freaking passion behind that one. And as we dive into the front office and we dive into player personnel, the coaching staff, ownership, and everything that is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I have it up here, and we'll talk about some names, some former players that are in this organization's and player development spots that we got to talk about. I want to dive in on who's the head of college scouting. Let's talk about who that guy is. Point fingers at some of them people. So there's a lot to go around. Good, bad, ugly, and in the freaking middle at this goddamn point. Well, 4 games left to be played, and you got to play them. And we'll talk about
time to play a little spoiler for some of these teams.
You know, and that's what you hope for. But it's also talk about Doug Peterson talking about some quit on his football team last week and some players. Rodney McLeod taking exception to that one. Malcolm Jenkins taking exception to that. But guess what, guys? We talk about trends, and it's the same shit. And we thought there'd be something different this Sunday, and we sat on here last Sunday, and guess what? I never pick against the Eagles. I mean, them times end up changing towards the end of the year. You can only hold on to the Titanic for so long before it sinks.
I'll tell you what, though, I have seen more of my friends on Facebook, like anybody interested in 2 tickets to the Washington game? Anybody interested in 2 tickets to the Giants game? Or then you get the random. Is anyone looking to sell their Eagles Cowboys tickets for, $20 a pop because the Eagles are going to be out of it and the game's on New Year's Day? And it's like, okay, so you mean to tell me you got a bunch of teenagers that are cockroaches and you think you're going to buy your tickets cheap and just send them down there on New Year's Day? You ain't getting my tickets. F that.
I like your style. Hold on to them freaking tight. Can't let anybody, diving in here taking tickets. Not on the cheap. This isn't Cleveland, boys. This isn't the stepchild up in New York, the New York Jets. You know what I mean? You got to remember who we are. But
the Jets just end the season.
Just end it. That's a disgrace. Todd Bowles' bad hire, it looks like. You talk
I thought about going to that game one day.
Well,
for $6 you could have.
I'm serious. It was like Monday morning. I'm laying around. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing.
Beers were cheaper. And the tickets were cheaper than the beer.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when
tickets are cheaper than beer.
That's when you dive in head first. To both, obviously. But you dive in head first to the tickets. But listen, our poll question, again, brought to you by Scanzano Sports. Find them on the web, scanzanosports.com. As an Eagles fan, what would you most like to see? Lurie sells a team. Lurie more hands-on. Howie Roseman fired. General manager hired. Mr. Mataraki?
Gonna start with me, huh? All right.
Well, Sean, go ahead.
Well, no, I'll take it because I'm gonna drop the pipe bomb right here. I'm gonna give you the best of right out of the gate. I want Jeffrey Lurie to sell the team. Jeffrey Lurie,
the gold standard, Mike.
The gold standard, yeah. Oh. Jeffrey Lurie purchased this team in 1994 for $185 million. Okay. 22 seasons that he's owned the team, teams made it to 1 Super Bowl. But yet somehow the net worth of this team has gone from $185 million to $1 billion. Okay? So you've increased the value of your team almost tenfold in 22 years. If it was an investment when you first bought it, and let's make no mistake about it, this guy wasn't a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan. He was a sports fan. He was looking for an investment. You made a shit...
He was a movie guy.
Yeah, you made a shit ton of money Now sell the team and
Go
let a sports guy come in here.
Go make some porn in Hollywood
because-
with your mind. Go back to the film.
Right, because what I would like to have an owner who's more hands-on, but an owner who knows what he's doing be more hands-on. I'm tired of the gold standard bullshit because all he's redoing is regurgitating that from somewhere else. Yeah,
his buddy up in New England.
But here's the thing: he himself is worth $1.16 billion.
Oh, he can call himself a gold standard.
So he may
about.
be the gold standard. But if you think about it, if he sells a team, even if he gives Christina his cut or her cut, whatever, I think she's still like 48% owner or something like that. You lose that shit in a divorce. That's a damn expensive divorce, by the way. $500 and some odd million in a divorce. Yeah, good job, buddy. I hope the Asian wife was worth it. But I digress. Yeah, you sell the team, get your $1 billion, put it in the hands of somebody who's going to run it the way a sports franchise should be run instead of a business. I give the guy credit. He's never been tight with, the purse strings. You want T.O., fine, you go, you got him. You want John Runyon, fine, you got him. You wanted Asante Samuel and the rest of the dream team, fine, you got him. These were big money decisions. But the only ones that were smart were Runyon and T.O. The rest of them, pretty questionable. So I think it's time to move on for Mr. Lurie. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate you rescuing the team in '94 from, basically, the doldrums from Norman Brayman, who may very well be one of the worst owners that this city has ever seen.
Yeah, but
it's time to go.
But what you're asking for, you have to remember, we don't have a say in who the hell the owner of this organization is.
No, you're right.
So you got to remember, was there a point where you could say silver standard? oh hell yeah, we could say silver standard for a point of Dad and his son Donovan's little tenure. That was silver standard.
Is there a bronze standard?
Bronze, we were in that area
That's
too.
about where we're at
plenty
right
of times. Okay, but. So you have to be careful on who you get back, who that owner is, because that could be scary. Because at the end of the day, Jeffrey Lurie does care about winning football games, you would think, you would hope. And, well, Sean, go ahead. You pick your side on where you as an Eagles fan.
I would want a new GM. I need a GM that's a football guy. Howie Roseman, his capology, I don't want to lose that because he is great with the cap.
Send it back down
but
the hall.
But I need somebody. No, they could split. He could have an office right next to the GM.
Back to the other side of the building.
Same window, same view. Fine.
But I want
a divider in the middle of the room.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just see through glass.
There you go.
Yeah. But no, I want a GM that's a football guy that knows talent and not a guy that's a mathematician playing football scout. I don't want that. I need Howie Roseman in charge of the cap. I need a football guy in there. And the only reason I would keep Jeffrey Lurie is because in the early 2000s, the only team that was a more winning franchise than the Eagles is the New England Patriots. So I think Lurie does not necessarily know what it takes, but I think he's going to be able to put the right people in charge to make it a successful organization in the future. I just think they're ahead of the front office away.
All right, let me ask you two questions, though. And I awesome job citing the record over that course of time. But when you look at the team through that era, being realistic, who was making the personnel decisions?
Oh, you're right, Andy. Yeah.
That team had Andy's fingerprints all over it from top to bottom. So is it a situation where Andy, because Andy was kind of the head coach / player personnel guy. Mm-hmm. Do they really need a GM, or can they just have like a player personnel guy come in, like we talked about last week, where back in January, Tom and I thought it might be Jaws, or there were a couple of other names that were floated out there. I mean, does it really need to be a GM that takes everything off of Howie's plate, or does Howie just need to bring a player personnel guy in?
I want somebody that's above Howie.
Ooh,
I want somebody.
I like it. I like it.
I want somebody that has final say.
Okay.
Somebody that has a background, not necessarily when it comes to making picks, but a background in football to know what it takes to be a legit football player at the NFL level. I need somebody like that having final say on who gets signed, who gets drafted, rather than Howie. Even if the other guy disagree with him, Howie still has final say. That's not good enough for me.
Listen, I'm willing to roll dice here. And I think it last Wednesday when Sterling Sharp was brought up as a possible.
Yeah, we talked about Sterling Sharp,
Okay.
Troy Vincent,
Well, how about
Dawkins,
this? How
a
does
couple
this
other
work
guys.
for you? How about Sterling Sharp as your GM, and you then promote Brian Dawkins up to assistant GM? Done. You got two former guys, Hall of Famers, deciding on who's coming on this football team. You know, they're the ones shopping for the fucking groceries at the end of the day, and you tell me that the head coach wouldn't be happy answering to them too? Because I think it's a different dynamic. When you're a head coach and you go up there and you're answering to that guy, there's a little difference.
When you're answering to a suit instead of a guy who's been on the field.
I got a better one for you, though. What if in a couple years when he retires, Andy Reid pulls a Holmgren and joins the front office?
Do you think it's going to be here?
I think we would give him the first crack at it.
I'm telling you right now, if he wins a Super Bowl in Kansas City, he never leaves that city. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Well, I don't see him winning a Super Bowl. He has a shot, but I don't.
A lot of free ribs. That
man loves him some Q.
Let me read some of these YouTube comments because, you know, some of them I don't. I just can't agree with. I can't agree with, at the end of the day, you know, if you're going to say, and this is from his tag, football fan, Doug is an alpha. He doesn't have the balls to command the team and call players out, which is not true because he did that this week. Mm-hmm. Okay, and now my friend is a poor excuse, and players out for costing us games, and now my friend is a poor excuse for a coach, and you have to be firm in your mission statement. Okay, if that's how you see it, I don't see it that way personally.
You know what? I would agree with the guy that Doug maybe hasn't been fully firm in his mission statement, but the first part of that, no, I don't agree with.
No, but I mean, you need time. You know, the thing is, if we give Carson a curve, you got to give Doug a curve.
Right.
They both. If we say, well, there's not enough talent on this roster, right, and we say, oh, well, Carson Wentz is a rookie, we'll give him a curve, but we don't give the rookie head coach a curve. That's just not fair to me. That's a double standard, and that's not the way it should work. Doug Peterson didn't go shopping for these groceries. So at the end of the day, he can only coach what's given to him, and this isn't a good football team. And with the injuries, suspensions, and all that, it becomes an even worse football team.
I will say
So,
this,
I mean,
though.
it's just, you know, what does he have?
I will
What
say
does he
this,
have?
though, to kind of defend that guy's argument. Why Carson gets a pass? You've seen flashes. You've seen glimpses of what he could be. Doug hasn't shown me he could coach at all this year. Like, I haven't seen one thing where I'm just like, you know what? This guy gets it. He's ready.
This talent's going to make you look like a good coach.
Well, can I read something to you guys?
And we talked about it. We talked about the Ron Brooks injury and how hurtful that was to the defense. And when the defense stopped playing good, you knew this offense wasn't going to be, you know, putting up 30 a game. You just knew that. We knew with a rookie quarterback, you're going to have to win on the defense side of the football or have a great running game.
And we were all hoodwinked into believing they were going to have that.
Well, at one point it looked like that.
Yeah, I'd like to read something to you guys, and bear with me on this because it's a little lengthy, but the point is spot on. Don't blame Peterson for the Eagles' recent failures. Blame the people who hired him, namely Executive Vice President of Football Operations Howie Roseman.
Who?
If you want to include owner Jeffrey Lurie, that's fine, and throw in consultant Ron Jaworski, too. By the way, first time I've ever seen Jaws' name in print with someone actually calling him a consultant. The Eagles knew what they were getting when they hired Peterson, who wasn't on anyone's short list or long list for that matter. One team showed interest in Peterson last offseason, the one that hired him. When Lurie, at the bequeath of Roseman, fired Chip Kelly, he talked about emotional intelligence and open hearts. Basically, what he was saying is, Chip is a mean guy, I want a nice guy. Well, you'll be hard-pressed to find a nicer guy in the NFL than Doug Peterson. So the Eagles got exactly what they wanted. A nice guy without experience who is not going to cause any internal trouble and is going to listen to and do whatever Roseman and Lurie want him to do. That was from Mark Eckel today, talking about the blame game in Philadelphia, and don't blame Peterson, blame Howie Roseman. And I actually reached out to Mark, and I just said, damn, Mark, we should have had you on the show last week because we crushed Howie Roseman, and we're probably going to crush him again tonight. And honestly, this was a really fresh take on the situation because everybody's got their beef with Howie for one reason or another. All he is a capologist. He doesn't know the talent. He doesn't know this. He doesn't know that. But the way that Mark looked at this, when he was talking about the fact that basically Doug has given them exactly what they asked for, maybe Howie asked for the wrong thing. Maybe Howie just couldn't play nice in the sandbox with Chip, and it wasn't necessarily Doug's call to get rid of Chip. Maybe it was Howie's call, or I'm sorry, not Doug's call, Jeff's call. Maybe it wasn't Jeff's call to get rid of Chip. Maybe it was Howie's call, and Jeff just kind of tossed up his hands and said, all right, fine, Howie, I'll give you what you want. I mean, I would love to be a fly in the wall, fly on the wall in the NovaCare complex for 2 hours just to know what the fuck those guys are doing there, because it almost seems like they just can't even get out of their own way now.
Well, sometimes.
And Doug's just the nice guy who's going to wind up being the fall guy for this whole thing.
Because at the end of the day, Howie needs his fall guy. And that's what it's been over these 8-year stretch that we talked about. It's been Howie Roseman, and there's been a fall guy. And that's what it sets up to be. No blame. That's his pride and joy, right? I mean, that's his guy.
Well, it goes.
That's who we picked to do it.
Yeah.
It's tough to get that guy out of there.
Well, it goes on. Mark said, "Do you think Peterson wanted to cut Josh Huff a day after he spoke of showing him love? No. You think he wanted to start Carson Wentz at quarterback from day one when he spent months saying how important it was for him to sit and watch and learn? You think he wanted to bench Nelson Aguilar for a game? All right, the last one might be on him." And he said, this is Roseman's team. It's Roseman's roster. It's Roseman who spent more money than any general manager since 2013. It's Roseman who thought Ruben Randall and Chris Givens were answers to the team's problem at wide receiver. And it's Roseman who has never won a playoff game in his 6 seasons as general manager. This is why I love Eckel, and why when we had him on before the season, everything he said was spot on.
It is.
This is great stuff.
Up top, boys, up top, like we've talked about for a long time now, and he just hasn't gotten it. And like you said, spent the most money as a general manager since 2013, and what have you gotten me? What have you gotten me? You've gotten us nothing.
And half the people you signed aren't even here anymore.
No.
And that was 3 years ago.
And then you empty the cap to redo it again. And now, listen, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me. How many times can you let a guy fool you? So he spent money before and it hasn't worked. So
I actually read a thing today on Twitter. Jimmy Kempski and Tom's favorite analyst, Elliot Shore Parks, were going back and forth on Twitter.
Tom's favorite with the air quotes.
But they were going back and forth on Twitter because Elliot Shore Parks put out a tweet calling out Howie Roseman. He said the team knew they had wide receiver and cornerback issues, and Howie Roseman's answers to them was Ruben Randall, Chris Givens, and Leotis McKelvin and Ron Brooks. And then Jimmy Kempski jumped in and was like, you really think Howie wanted to go out and sign Leotis McKelvin and Ron Brooks? You don't think Jim Schwartz is the one? And then this is where I actually defend Kempski, though, because Elliot Shore Parks was like, Howie has final say, blah, blah. And then Kempski was like, well, Howie, if he doesn't go out and sign the guy as a defensive coordinator once, he looks like asshole Howie again.
Well, yeah, Howie does have final say.
Yeah. But I mean, if your coach tells you want me to go get these guys, I'm going to go get them for you. At least that's what I would want out of Jim.
But guess what?
But the offensive side of the ball, no, that's 100% his fault. You went out and signed 2 guys that don't even make the team out of camp. What are you doing?
Victor Martinez chiming in. David Shaw would have been a better hire than Doug. I just don't. I don't agree with them yet.
Out of Stanford?
You can't do another college coach after Chip.
No, you can't.
Not immediately.
I wanted to drive my car after Walt Whitman last week. All I'm hearing every time I get in the car, well, if the Ravens lose out, the Ravens might fire John Harbaugh. We should hire him. Who died and made John Harbaugh a great NFL coach? The guy won 1 Super Bowl, and mind you, in the history of the NFL, no coach has ever won a Super Bowl with one team, went to another team, and won another one. Sorry, I'll pass on Harbaugh all day.
I'll pass on Harbaugh, too. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you see when the talent diminished, the record diminished. And it's the same thing around the NFL. When there's no talent, I don't care who the head coach is.
Talent wins.
It's tough to get wins. It's tough. Not everybody falls in the luckiness of the New York Giants right now and the Houston Texans in terms of being not as good as your record claims you are. And if you really watch them two teams play, you'll say to yourself, wow, maybe the Giants defensively, but Eli struggles. Eli struggles are real, and anybody who overlooks them is lying to themselves. But, yeah, go ahead, back.
Siobhan Wignall. I don't like the fact that Doug and Carson aren't on the same page, and the defense looked like they stopped playing after the Atlanta game. Okay.
Agree.
Fair.
Agree. But Carson needs to shut his mouth and listen to his head coach, too. Okay? Because it is mechanical goddamn issues, Carson.
Yeah.
That release is Randall Long. Okay? And if you think if he goes back and actually is going to sell the media that his release isn't, there's not something wrong with his mechanics, his release isn't long, then he's lying to himself. Okay? Then you were drinking your own Kool-Aid. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you got to look at how every legitimate NFL quarterback throws the football. It's not a release like a baseball. It's just different releases in terms of where you're releasing from.
Dwayne Aldridge, I can't wait for Jackson's return.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, is that Deshaun coming? But is that Deshaun's return this week, or is that Deshaun's return next year?
He's probably talking about next year. And I'll tell you what, if you go out and sign Deshaun Jackson, you're going to need to draft one and sign another. Deshaun Jackson is not going to come here and resurrect his receiver corps. The guy plays every other 3 weeks. And he's a one-trick pony.
Actually, this is interesting because you're the same guy.
We've seen him come up small.
Football fan. If you play like shit and give no effort, then you're getting called out on it. This generation where you have to bullshit and tippy-toe around everything because of feelings, these are supposed to be big, grown-ass men, and Ertz should absolutely be called out for being a bitch and jumping out of the way. You play hard on every play. He blows anyway. F him too.
I wasn't even going to bring that up because after that play, I just completely washed my hands with Zach Ertz. Especially a guy is a known rule breaker when it comes to late hits and targeting and just flat out being a dirty player. You're going to let him run free at your franchise quarterback? I'll tell you what, if I was Carson Wentz, I get back in that huddle, I'm looking Zach Ertz in the face and I'm calling him a little bitch for that.
Yeah, guess what?
I have a huge problem with that.
Well, guess what? He's,
he made a business decision.
You know what's funny, though, is I don't think there's anybody in this goddamn offense that can go back to the huddle and yell at anybody.
Yeah.
That's a sad thing. I wish he was there. But, no, to your point, you got an opportunity to get perfect. What he's giving everybody else around the league. Mm-hmm. You take that shot, man. Your quarterback's running.
And even if you don't, even if it's not a clean, you got to touch him. You have to touch him.
Contact.
And then he avoided him, and then he even touched the guy behind him.
Listen, looked like he was dancing.
I mean, listen.
I've heard people on Twitter defending it, calling it the decoy block.
How about this one? Because I'll go back to this freaking press conference that will still bother me. That's why I don't listen to him anymore. Because this guy sold me on pressers back in the day. And the day they drafted Zach Ertz, when I was listening to it on the radio, Chip Presser going over his picks, talking about the main thing that will stick with, and you guys will all remember this, big guys beat up on small guys. Big guys beat up on small guys, and he was referring to Zach Ertz being a big physical tight end. That's what he was referencing. Big, strong, 6'6", 240.
And now we know
run.
Now we know that he can't block on the line. And,
not consistent enough tight end.
And he won't throw an open field block to protect his quarterback.
But you know what you need to go along with that big body? Some big balls.
Yeah.
And there's not one person on this offense that has any.
What I was going to say was I really wish that there was some way that we could have audio from the field when that play happened, because I would love to know if there was somebody who shouted from the sideline, let him go, meaning let Wentz go because he's going to go out of bounds. And when it was shouted, let him go, Ertz just gave up on the play, which he shouldn't have. You played to the whistle. But if you're listening to people on the sideline yell, let him go, when you're blocking for your quarterback, that's a problem.
Victor Martinez again, talking about Shaw. The difference between Chip is purely a college coach and Shaw runs a pro offense and defense, but you're still the transition to the big show and the fact that you just got burned by a college coach. You can't go back there again.
And again, he's coaching in the Pac-12, one of the weakest conferences in the country.
Yeah, you can't go
There's
there.
No defense played there.
Nick Giuliano, Zach Ertz was charged with DWA, didn't want any. Yeah, I like that one. But so back to who you want.
Well, Nightman Dan just chimed in. The only thing smaller than Doug's brain is Zach's sack.
I agree.
It's unbelievable.
I agree, but I like we're talking about. You want two, when you talk about the general manager of this football team, you want two former players. And if you got a chance, one already in your organization, and a chance to go get another one and put him in a general manager role and let Howie just worry about the money, worry about the cap, and let football guys do football guy things. Let your coach worry about coaching. Let everybody worry about their specific things, and that's how you can start. That's how you build a good program and build a program back. And until that happens, I see it being the same run of mediocrity, us falling for the roster that is assembled, not because there isn't good players on this roster, but the fact that it is, and the fact that it matter, and every time we talk about Howie Roseman like we did last week, is he has never finished off a roster. And that leads to no playoff wins, and that leads to 6 years of overspending money and never finishing a goddamn roster. And until he does that, it's just the same old thing. It's the same season that we go into expecting something different, unless Carson Zachary and saves him. You know what I mean? Unless a savior of a player comes in and saves his ass, I think it's the same old story. So but then it goes, well, how are you going to get Howie out without Jeffrey?
Yeah, them two are attached at the hip.
Well, I don't know. The thing that I think is bothering me right now too, and it's not necessarily the front office, but the whole Carson Wentz thing, where people are saying, oh, if you look last year at Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, they improved as the season went on, and Carson Wentz has taken 2 steps back. Well, okay. What offensive line is he playing behind? What running game does he have? Has the defense stepped up for him, or has the defense put him in a hole? I mean, yeah, the kid's got an interception problem. Sean, it was funny because he throws the interception on Sunday, and it's the deep cross. It's the same ball every time. And Tom and I were literally texting each other at the same time, basically saying, there's that throw again. Maybe Doug needs to stick that.
I was going to say, when is Doug going to look at the playbook, rip that page the hell out?
And maybe he needs to stick that in his back pocket for a while, and that's on Doug, sure.
Yeah, I'd say screw it. I'd say keep throwing it.
Keep throwing it until he gets it right?
Until he gets the read right. That's a terrible ball. There's nothing about when you look back at that coverage that makes me say, I want to throw that football here. And I like the gunslinger mentality and all that stuff, but there's nowhere to fit that football. You have safety over top. There's nowhere to fit that football. All right, and you're going to trust your wide out to go up and get it. So, with all them throws, I mean, a couple of them, one of them I know he's really fooled with the D back, but on last week's, that's easy. That's right in front of you.
Yeah,
so he's got to be better in his decision making.
He does, but at this point in the season, I don't care if he finishes the season now at this point with 20 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. If he shows up at minicamp in May going, I watched the film of every interception I threw last year, and I won't make that same mistake again. This whole season, from the day they traded Sam Bradford, has been about the education of Carson Wentz. And we got spoiled when they started 3-0 thinking that they could go somewhere.
100%. This whole year means shit. You're not... We got fooled into thinking they could compete for the division, but obviously
we didn't know they weren't winning it.
Exactly, yeah. You're not going to really compete for what everybody wants to compete for. This whole year was about grooming Carson Wentz, seeing what the kid's got, and the kid, for the most part, the kid has been at least in my eyes, he's ahead of schedule from where I thought he was going to be coming from a D2 school. Now, if he's coming out next year with the same motion, missing the same passes, I don't know. I've never seen a 6'5" quarterback get more passes batted down in my life. And
that's an interesting point, and I think you're spot on with that.
Well, that goes to your whole release.
Yeah, because when you drop your arm here, by the time you go to release, his hands
are already up.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the most encouraging things for me, though, with Wentz, has he missed a snap this year because of a health problem or an injury? No.
And that was actually one of my biggest concerns.
Why now? That was a concern for me, too.
Coming out of college, because he got hurt multiple times.
Right. But then you look last year, Bradford, and then the year before that, We had to go through
Sanchez,
Sanchez, Foles. The year before that, it was Foles and Vic. We haven't had a quarterback on this team play 16 games in, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years. So if he plays 16 games this year and comes through the year completely healthy, and the entire season is a learning experience for him, do I want him to be 6-10, 5-11? No, I don't. I would have liked to have seen them finish with a better record, especially after getting off to a 3-0 start.
At least 8-0. 8-8.
But, if you think about it, and Tommy, you and I have had this discussion 100 times. I am not one to put a lot of emphasis on preseason at all, except for when you have a player that needs to get time. But if you look at the preseason, Wentz played a quarter in the preseason. Okay? That's it. So you got to figure those first 3 games that they won, everything this kid was doing was new in terms of other teams having film on him. So then what happens? You get Lane Johnson, who gets suspended. They have their bye. Everything starts just kind of like unraveling on them, and now all of a sudden everybody's got film on the kid. Well, now it's time to take that next step, and the rest of the league has film on him. Well, he should have film on the rest of the league.
Yeah, he's got to adjust now.
But looking back at the preseason, they went 4-0 in the preseason, and then they started the season 3-0. So this is a team that hit the field 7 weeks in a row. Win. And then all of a sudden, for everything to just unravel, that's, Tom, to your point, that's Howie. That's not finishing off a roster. That is when you get to the point where depth meant something, there was none. No. And that's a problem.
And big positions, and positions in need.
Look at middle linebacker. You were going, they had to sign Stephen Took because you're probably going into the preseason. Joe Walker, a 7th-round pick out of Oregon, was your second string guy. Like, what are we doing? The guy's a 7th-round pick. I know Jalen Mills is playing pretty good, but that's once in a blue moon. You're not hitting 2 in one draft.
No, and you have to, in free agency, you have to evaluate your whole roster, but you have to draft better.
100%.
At the end of the day, that's what you have to do better. And that's the problem. Too many misses, too many swings and misses when it comes to Howie Roseman. And if you want to lump Chip Kelly in there, go ahead, but you're wrong. Because there's a reason he's not here. Who's the man left standing? That's the man you blame. And that's Howie Roseman. And I really believe until he's in a different position in this organization, and the football guys either moved up throughout the organization that's played at a high level, or from outside this organization, I'm going to continue to say it. I see mediocrity. But that all changes. Like I said, if Carson Wentz is the real deal,
then all bets are off.
This is why I love our listeners, though. John Lake chimes in, says our O-line has been top 5 most of the year. Immediately, F. Pietros chimes in, our O-line has been bottom 5 all year. And I just let these guys know. I said, hey, guys, stats are deceiving. O-line has holes.
I was going to say, I will say this, though. I almost threw up. I was looking through Pro Football Focus. It might have been 2 weeks ago. This probably went down now, but 2 weeks ago, the Eagles were rated number 2 behind Dallas, offensive line.
Well, and that's the thing, is that if you look at their yards per carry and the number of sacks allowed, their yards per carry is really high, and they haven't allowed a ton of sacks, but it's really deceiving because, to your point, how many balls has he had knocked down? How many times has he thrown the ball away instead of taking a sack? How many times?
I feel like he gets hit on every play.
He does get hit a lot.
That was I was going to ask you when you brought up the point of him playing every snap. Do you think he does? Not saying he gets hurt, but say they're out of it, completely out of it. Like last week, this Sunday, I'm not even going to lie. I was watching this kid get hit like 10 plays in a row, and part of me in the back of my head was like, you got to get him out. You got to protect this kid. This game's not winnable. And I don't know. I mean, part of me, like, if this offensive line keeps looking the way it is, you got to think long-term rather than these last 3 games.
You know what? If he's
part of me wants him to keep getting his clock clean.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I keep getting your clock clean.
If that's
because at some point it's going to slow down.
Right.
At some point it will slow down for the kid. And like you said, at the beginning everything was new. Fine, everything went well. You left the field that many times as a winner, regardless preseason. into the
Especially,
regular season.
and then coming off that college career.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing: if it's Roethlisberger, and you're down, 29-7, yeah, I may think about getting him off the field.
If you're in contention?
No, I'm just talking a veteran quarterback.
A
veteran quarterback who's taking shots. You get him off the field.
A rookie?
It's a real bad look if you pull your rookie quarterback instead of leaving him out there to fight it out.
Because what's going to happen.
You don't want that kid to get labeled as soft because you pulled him out of the game.
No, and to the kid's credit, he dropped back, threw 60 passes. I heard people complain about how many times he threw, and I said to myself, what the hell are you supposed to do
when you're behind?
And
you get the doors blown off. You got to throw.
And I don't know if it was a shot at Doug from Carson or not, but in that post-game press conference, they asked him about his completion percentage, and then he was like, when you're throwing the ball 60 times, you're going to miss something.
I didn't have a problem with that response because he's dead on. I mean, when the defense knows what's coming on every play, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, seriously, what are you going to do?
There's nothing you can do. But, I mean, I also don't like excuse-driven stuff. And I made mistakes. I'll get back to work and fix them. Done.
Yeah.
You don't need to turn into excuses. You don't. Now, do you boys believe, and then we'll take a break, we'll come back. Do you boys believe that this coaching staff as a whole is all here next year?
No. I think one person's gone. And I think that's Greg Lewis.
Okay.
But I think if it doesn't happen this year, to start next year, Frank Reich will be in charge of play calling. I think everybody else is here, unless DiFilippo or somebody like that gets a offensive coordinator job.
I think
nobody will be fired.
See, here's the thing. You can only give Greg Lewis so much garbage. I don't fault him for the receiver issues that this team has. I
just look at it as not so much. I'm not expecting him to turn them into great receivers.
Right.
It's the mental mistakes. Like I watched DGB get the same penalty every week lining up. Aguilar with the Ertz play against Seattle.
No, I know.
I just think it's the mental things.
I would say I think the entire staff comes back with the caveat that play calling gets turned over to Frank Reich. I could see DiFilippo going elsewhere if somebody offers him an OC position. But here's the thing:
there's an old food for thought, though.
If they finish like 6-10, who's going to offer him an offensive coordinator?
And we don't got to worry about Jim Schwartz becoming a head coach next year like we were in the beginning of the year.
Guys, but what a big rule of thumb for head coaches, and a lot of the great ones will tell you: once you take over play calling, you don't give it away. And a lot of them will tell you that. And that's a big thing a lot of these guys live by. And that tree, that Andy tree we talk about, and a lot of the guys from that tree are big believers in not giving it back up.
I don't disagree with you, but if you look at the way Andy used to handle things, coming from the Andy tree, whenever the offense was stagnant, Andy would turn it over. And if he had a coordinator or the quarterback's coach calling it, and it got stagnant again, he would take it back. So that branch of the tree isn't necessarily opposed to having other guys call the plays if he feels that it's gotten stagnant. The problem with Doug is I don't necessarily know that he recognizes that.
And apparently last year the Chiefs had the weirdest play calling agenda ever. Because you hear Andy Reid or Doug in his introductory presser, I called the plays in the beginning of the game, and then Andy called him in the second half, but the first half of the year, I called him in the second half. Like every other game, when it was a night game, I called, what the hell? You guys are flip-flopping back?
Supposedly they split play calling 50-50.
Yeah, I don't think Doug called a damn thing.
Oh, I think he did. And I think that's smart coaching, and I think that's what leads to their record being what it is, because it's innovative and it's not the same. And now, what do defensive coordinators have to adjust for? They don't know who's calling first half, who's calling second half, who's calling certain drives, and that's innovative because that keeps defensive coordinators on their toes. And if you're that locked in with your coaching staff, though, where you can pull that off and be successful, that's big time thinking, and I love it. And if Doug and who knows that we don't know that Frank Wright hasn't called plays for this football team.
Before you go to break,
yeah.
Scotty Tuhati, if we get blown out by any divisional opponents, any divisional rivalry Doug must go. No excuses. What an embarrassment last Sunday. John Lake. Peterson gone after this year. Schwartz takes over. Said it a couple weeks ago. Scotty Too Hotty. Greg Lewis is irrelevant. Football fan. They didn't put Cousins on his ass the first go around. I want that P on his bitch ass. Okay.
First of all, if Doug is fired and Jim Schwartz is the replacement, I'm officially off. I'm done. Wash my hands with the team.
I was going to say, you washed your hands.
I'm done with them.
You washed your hands.
I'm done with them. I will be looking for a new fandom.
Are they dead
next year?
Are they dead to you?
Absolutely. If you fire Doug and you make Jim Schwartz the head coach of this football team, I'm done with you. I'm going to submit applications to all 31 teams left, and I'm going to be looking for fandom elsewhere.
Me too.
Jacksonville. That's where I'm sending you.
I just might.
FPHers, I think our cornerbacks are bad as well, and we know that, how we never addressed that, right? I mean, we talk about Ron Brooks went down, and that was a crush to our defense. We had no nickel. So then you bring Malcolm up to play the nickel. That's not where he's supposed to be. Then you have to go and put Jalen Watkins and play your safety position. That's not, he's not a starter in this league. So then you got all these trickle-down effects off of one position. Howie just never finished it off. He never cared about the corner position. We thought he'd get away with Nolan, Carroll, and Leotis McKelvin. And that's
our biggest need was depth at the corner position, and how he answered to that was trading last year's second-round pick.
Yep, because maybe he wasn't his guy.
We did all
that.
We got a fourth-round pick and then an offensive lineman that his plane got called when he left the airport and had to come back to New England.
Sean, reportedly, they're about to land here, and they just went right back up. They didn't even land, and went right back up in the air. But whatever. I mean, it's a joke, and he hasn't, like you said, he hasn't done enough, and we'll see if that changes. I don't think it does. Take a break, come back, talk more Eagles, talk a little Peterson where he matched up against other first-year head coaches around the league, history of the league, the whole nine. We'll give you some predictions for this weekend's matchup against the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, we're ready to go. Mike's reloading the clip over there
with
the laptop.
Right. I'll tell you what, we had a lot of comments on the YouTube channel when I got to go to the other battery already.
We'll get to your more comments on the YouTube page as we continue here. This is Tom,
Mike,
AM
in the PM,
A2DRadio.com, and this was brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Tom Arnone, Big Mikey Smalls, Tom, Mike, AM, in the PM, only on A2DRadio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
You're listening to Tom and Mike, AM in the PM, here on A2DRadio.com.
Tom and Mike, AM in the PM, is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Mike from Tom and Mike AM in the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants. 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's www.gibsonmayer.com.
We're gonna get copyright for that for that beat right there. Tom,
Mike,
AM
in the PM.
A2DRadio.com. Tom Arnone, Michael Madarak, Sean Radden, Rob Povey on the ones and twos. We're live from the BMW Atlantic City studios. We're right here, Mount from New Jersey, BMW Atlantic City. We're off exit 37 on the Parkway. Find them online, BMWAtlanticCity.com. Every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. Find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com. If you just join us, our poll question brought to you by Scanzano Sports. Find them on the web, ScanzanoSports.com. As an Eagles fan, which would you most like to see? Lori sell the team? Lori more hands-on? Which
I don't think anybody's answered that one.
Nobody's looking for, a porn in the weight room video. Nobody's looking for that out of Jeffrey. Howie Roseman fired? Well, I don't know if anybody said fire, just move down the hall.
Yeah, because you like a little bit of what he brings. Howie's like a 1-2 player. Like, he does that one thing really good.
Really good.
But then the other thing just brings down his whole game.
Well, Tommy,
and I don't know I don't even know if the money is what he's good at. I haven't found his niche yet.
if you get to it,
Jeffrey has.
We got a good Facebook comment from the Duke.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to
that one. That's pretty good.
General manager hired, and I think that's where we stand with a lot of this, and we have a lot of YouTube comments flying in. We're gonna talk as we move on here about Doug Peterson's first year measured up against other head coaches' first year. What I do after Eagles losses, the fact that at this point I feel like it's wash, repeat. Well, I'm sorry, wash, rinse, repeat from us and what we're saying, because this has been the Eagles and this is what we get used to.
Yeah,
but it's almost
same thing.
and the Eagles been wash, rinse, repeat. Maybe just wash, repeat.
There's
been no rinse.
I got to tell you,
they got to clean off and get going.
I mean, it's crazy how tonight went. Just to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit for the audience. I mean, we were sitting here at 8:30, a half hour before airtime, and none of us wanted to go on. We were all just kind of like bumming over the whole Birds thing. And then all of a sudden we started talking about some baseball winter meeting stuff that we're not even talking about on the show tonight. And all of a sudden the adrenaline level picked up, and it was like 9 o'clock. It's like, all right, go time, because this is what we do. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just, like, this fan base is so passionate that when they lose, and they lose the way they're losing, like, it kind of knocks a little something out of you.
Something out of you. It came to the point where, my wife knows, like, after losses, it's a state of depression that Sunday. And that night comes with maybe, some chocolate and ice cream, and it's a depression.
For you or her?
For me. And that's a problem. And that's what it's done.
You're a woman.
But, listen, we're known to overreact. And
just a little bit.
Doug Zeke, comment on our Facebook, A2DRadio.com. Howie's got to go. Keep him on for working the cap, but we need a football guy, any guy in all caps. GM, player personnel. But on a side note, we as fans need to take some heat, because we were all the ones praising Howie in the offseason. And don't say you weren't. He was the one signing guys, digging us out of Chip's mess by trading those stiffs. Should have kept Murray.
Yeah.
But we were loving him. Now we're calling for his head. I just think it's ironic how fans, we can just kill a guy that fast. But just answer the poll question, yes, fire him. So
he makes a great point.
Well, he's saying we're all doing what he's doing, and we're crazy. But I just think Howie fooled us again, and maybe the trades are some of the things that he's good at, getting you out of some dead money and stuff like that. But that's it. I mean, you've seen. We talked about his draft over the last 6 years. We've given you the rundown of non-Pro Bowl players that are on this roster, that if Howie Roseman talked about them players, one being like a Michael Kendricks, he's going to talk about him as a Pro Bowl caliber type player. All right, so that's how Howie's always talked about his draft.
Let me ask you guys a big question here. So we're talking about how Carson Wentz gets a pass because he's a rookie and he's got limited talent around him. Doug Peterson gets a pass because he's a first-year coach with a roster that is maybe 35 deep when it should be 53 deep. Does Howie get a pass on this season?
Nope.
Hold on. Does he get a pass on this season for the trades that he made in the offseason? He got us a first-rounder for Bradford. He got rid of Kiko Alonso, even though Kiko Alonso's playing well in Miami. He got rid of Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell and got draft picks back for them. He got rid of DeMarco Murray, which everyone loved at the time because we all thought he was done. We thought Dallas ran him into the ground and he did nothing here last year.
I didn't like that trade because I felt like you could have got more than a fourth.
More than a fourth, but at the same time, I don't think there was anyone who thought we were giving up what he's been in Tennessee.
Yeah, that wasn't my problem. My problem was what you got in return for him.
So for as much as we believe that Howie did not complete this roster, and I think we're all in agreement that it's very much an incomplete roster, does he get a pass for this year because of those trades?
I don't give him one because I was even saying on Twitter all summer when people were crowning Howie with the trades. Oh, we moved up. We got Wentz. We got this. We got that. I just kept telling people, I'm like, look, you can hop on Howie's bandwagon if you want, but I never will until he proves me wrong because I'm under the theory that he can't draft. And that's what you need to have a successful organization. You need to hit on draft picks, and that was my thing. I'm not crowning Howie for none of the trades, none of the signings. Show me you can draft, then I'll be outside the link helping to build the statue.
All right. I like it. I like the statue.
I'm going at it with Scotty because, I mean, he's talking about, Lurie being, the winningest owner since 2000, and I don't even know if that numbers are even factual because I would think Robert Kraft would be the most.
No, that's what I told. The Eagles are the second winningest organization since 2000.
Since 2000, and I said, okay, well that all had to do with Andy, and he said, well he hired Andy. I get he hired Andy, okay, but who has he hired since, and who put Howie in the driver's seat the last goddamn 6 years?
All right,
and I'm not even saying get rid of Lurie. I chop Howie down.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, you need somebody else,
right? But even with Lurie, okay. Throw money at it. 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 At what goddamn point do you just stop throwing money at your problems and actually figure out what the freaking problems are and fix them? Because you could throw money all goddamn day. The freaking merchandise that this team sells, Jeff Lurie may be printing fucking money for all we know. Okay? But at the end of the day, that goddamn money and merchandise isn't going to win you a fucking Super Bowl. So the guy needs to get his head out of his ass. He either needs to sell the team or he needs to get people in there who know what they're doing. But he can't just keep writing checks to big-name free agents who may or may not pan out because he just wants to keep throwing money at his problems. Money doesn't solve everything. It can solve a lot of things, but it's not going to solve everything. Not in a salary cap world. You can't go out and spend $300 million and stack your team because you're not allowed to do that.
No, you know how you
got to figure some shit out.
You got to win in the draft. Your core's got to be done through the draft. Listen, you bring in your – see, this is the issue. Howie's never done it in the draft to be able then in the offseason to go and just fix the little holes. You understand? It's always been catch-up in the offseason. And any franchise that lives by catch-up in the offseason is going to be in trouble. You can't throw money at problems.
You got to get your guys in the draft. And then a free agency is meant to find guys like a Ron Brooks.
Yeah.
Like Ron Brooks should have been on this team as like the fifth corner.
Hole fillers.
Not the third.
Hole fillers. Finishing off rosters. And what I mean by finishing off is, how deep your roster goes. Okay, compared to going out and Learis McKelvin comes in and has to be your number one corner.
Right.
And he's not number one corner. That's not finishing off. That's finishing off a hole. But then, you trade away stuff underneath of that. But you don't bring in more. It's just everything's a joke. You talk about everything he's done. I mean, look at the roster. I like players on this roster that I can say when we talk about this defense that we thought it could be top 5 worthy. Okay, but outside of there.
Yeah, and when you say that, you're basically just talking about the starters.
And you're talking about
if somebody goes down or a rotation, whatever. it's a big drop off.
And it's time for Connor Barwin to get sat down, and people out there can call me crazy. It is time for Marcus Smith to play. Every time he's on the goddamn football field, he's making plays, or at least in the backfield creating havoc. And then he's taking off the field. You see it, guys. You can't run from it now. Whoever wanted to run from Marcus Smith, whoever told us we're crazy for thinking that Marcus Smith can play. Because he's built for a 4-3. Connor Barwin looks like Marcus Smith last year, except he's playing every snap. He's not getting home. He's creating no pressure on the quarterback. And a wide 9, you got to be able to bring some speed off the edge. And he doesn't have it. He can't get home. And I think, that's the guy you can maybe, how he can pull a little.
I don't know.
Rabbit out of a goddamn hat.
I'm seeing some things on another chain on the book where people were talking about Joe Douglas and how
Teach
he's
me how to
how he's got to turn how he has to turn the
stop it,
the reins of the draft over to Joe Douglas.
Well, that's why I'm kind of looking forward to this next draft, because I am interested to see. Joe Douglas has had success with the Ravens.
He has,
but my biggest problem is Howie, I think, is still above him.
Right, but here's the thing. When Joe Douglas was at the Ravens, we talked about the Ravens last week. Who did he work with? Ozzie Newsome.
Yeah. But that's my thing.
It wasn't him doing it all by himself.
If Joe Douglas comes to Howie, be like, hey, I want this guy here, and Howie wants another guy, I already know Howie's going to be like, F you, I'm taking my guy. That's how it's going to work. That's why somebody needs to be above him.
Well, how long was Joe Douglas in Baltimore for?
I want at least 3.
Say 3 years.
Okay, so what the fuck are we crowning Joe Douglas? That roster was already there. The winners on that goddamn championship team were already there. There wasn't been nobody drafted in the last 3 years on the Baltimore Ravens where I can say to them, stud, right?
Potential future studs, but not anybody right out of the gate.
No, right in the second.
I like Brashad Perriman. I like Kenneth Dixon, but
and he also his first draft that he had there was Torrey Smith, who was a decent player in Baltimore. I mean, he's better than everybody on the Eagles.
Well, you know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah,
to the point where where's his?
My thing is though, I think I trust him more than I do Howie, because at least he has a pedigree of drafting football players.
It's true. It's true. I mean,
Let's talk about some of these first-year coaches.
At this point, I'm just grasping at straws.
We all are, Sean. I'm right with you.
Because I know you put in some time on that. I don't want to let that go by the wayside. Talking about some of the first-year coaches.
No, just here in Philly.
All right.
Just here in Philly. That's all. And just compare.
So who are we looking at? Buddy, Andy, Ray.
Yeah, we can start.
Are you looking at Richie?
Well, Richie's got to be in there.
Richie. I'm going to tell you something about this offense, okay? My guys, they go out there and they play with heart, okay? It's my bad Richie Kotite
Richie freaking Kotite. So Buddy was 5-10-1 his first year in '86. Second year they were 7-8, second in the NFC East, and then they went to 10-6 in his third year, first in the NFC East, and then the history of first round exits in the playoffs for Buddy Ryan. Right. So.
Right, but here's the thing with Buddy. When did they make the jump?
Third year.
Right, but in terms of people on the field, they made the jump when Randall became the full-time starter. So he had to get his quarterback, basically.
Yep, he had to get his quarterback to go with his defense.
Yep.
Richie in 91, 10-6. Came in third.
He inherited Buddy's team.
Yeah, came in third that year.
Man, 10-6 and he came in third?
Yeah.
Whoo, stacked division.
And then 92, 11-5. They came in second in the NFC East. They won a playoff game. They lost to Dallas in the NFC divisional game. Then he went 93, 8-8, 7-9, and then he went on to the Jets to 3-13,
and then see you later.
And 1-15, which was good times. So and we know Richie. So there's a guy who inherited and did a little bit similar to a guy we're going to get to in a little bit. But then we go to Ray Rhodes, who inherited a bad football team, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Definitely not a good one. But Ray turned it around to be 10-6, second in the NFC East, and they lost to the Dallas Cowboys. So Ray came in hot. Another guy coming in hot. All right, then he went 10-6 again. Lost to San Fran in the wild card game. Then 6-9, 3-13. So we see a guy coming hot, and every guy who's came in hot
Fizzles
so
out.
far has fizzled. And then we go to Dad. Now it's Dad's turn.
Big Red.
Big Red. Andy.
Papa Bear.
Papa Bear.
Kool-Aid.
Andy's first year, 5-11. All right, we knew then. Obviously, it was the Donovan year. Blah 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 blah. Then we know the rest. Okay, we know 130 and 93 over
starts 5-11, immediately flips to 11-5, and
then 170. Well, no, he's 170 and 113 for his entire career. He's 40-20 with KC.
Okay.
And that's up to date because they're 9-3 right now.
Right.
So all up to date. So that's Andy. Started slow, 5-11. You can talk about not having a clue because people said that around here. There's a lot of that talk. So Andy, who his last year here, let me get back down to his last final year. What was he?
4-12.
4-12, right? With a lot of injuries on that roster, if we remember. A lot of injuries. Then brought Mr. Sports Science. Banana nut smoothies, if you're into that. I don't, whatever you wanted.
I like a nice banana nut smoothie every now and then.
We still have our his sports science team. Like, the sports
they
science
kept him
is
around.
still here.
Yeah.
Still here. When I was looking over, I think I'm scrolling too far with Chip. I'm just trying to, here we go. Chip comes in, 10-6. We know we win the NFC East. Lost first round against the Saints, where one Deshaun Jackson wasn't available. He was there, but just wasn't available.
Or if Riley Cooper catches that crossing route, he's probably still running right now.
And I think this is the defining.
I want to go back to that for 1 second, though, because the one beef that I have with that is the offense walked off the field for the last time in that game.
That is true, with the lead.
With the lead. That was a complete defensive collapse at the end with very much a lack of strategy. Because at one point, they could have just opened the floodgates and let New Orleans score to get the ball back with enough time to go down the field and kick a field goal. That right there may have been the first sign that Chip wasn't necessarily as brilliant as we thought he was.
Yep, and you remember, he toasted a town. 10-6. The next year, missed the playoffs, and I think that's the defining year because if they made the playoffs that next year, that's where you don't see some of the quit and all that stuff. I think guys buy in more.
Yeah.
To, hey, this guy's made the playoffs two straight years.
Especially in that year, he would have got it done without Deshaun.
Without LaShawn.
Well, the problem
without. Oh no, he still had Macklin.
He's 9. He's 9.
That was Macklin's big year.
He's 9-3, and he finishes.
10-6.
Finishes 1-3 the rest of the way, and misses the playoffs, and that's the beginning of the downfall.
Sanchez though.
Yeah. But all they had to do was get in, was the point. If they just got in that year, I think it changes a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that they didn't get in goes to the next year of 6-10. Well, he was 6-10. Or 6-9, I'm sorry. And then Pat Shurmur won the one game.
No, he was
5-10.
He was 5-10.
And
Shurmur was
beat
1-0.
the Giants.
Yeah.
They won the 16th game.
Yeah.
No, they gave it the chip on this one.
Did they really?
Unbelievable. Handing out freebies. They had 6-9. That's what they had.
No, he was 5-10.
All right, and then we go to Doug.
Just think about that win, though. That last win last year. Instead of playing the Seahawks, we're playing the Rams in London. Like that one win, like you don't know how this season could have went.
No, and look back if you want to go back. I'm sorry, if you want to go back to Vermeil, started real slow.
Oh yeah.
So all my point is throughout the history of this franchise, the better coaches have started slow, and I think when we said Buddy started slow and became a folk hero here, but he never won anything, but he's a great coach here, right? So a great defensive mind and a guy who started 5-10. Andy, who we talk, like I say, dad and joke around about it, but a guy who started bad his first year, all right, and had it, what's the right word? Get the players the buy-in to his culture, and I hate the word, but culture and scheme, and the whole process of how they do things, and different coaches bring different things, but Doug can be the nicest guy in the room or whatever, but he's still a football guy. And as long as his players respect that is all that's needed. And listen, we asked for a coach to call out our players for quitting, and he did. And like I said, a couple guys took issue to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, and now people are coming out. You got to know, you're a former player. You got to know that. Shut up. Call you out on your bullshit.
These are grown men that got a good old road job in Cincinnati.
Against a bad team.
Football team. A beat-up football team.
No Giovanni Bernard, no Brandon LaFell looked way better Sunday than A.J. Green's looked an entire career.
They all did.
Eagles defense.
They all did. Everybody's wide open. But that's the point. You know, it all goes back to freaking Howie, and it'll continue. And they can win 4 in a row, and it doesn't change what we've seen in big games in the middle to latter parts in the season from this goddamn football team. And it started that second year under Chip. And whose roster was that? Because I am tired of people telling me Deshaun Jackson's not here because of Chip Kelly. Deshaun Jackson's not here because of Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman and because of the brand of the Eagles. And when them rumors came out, it was a jump. Okay? LaShawn McCoy, that's Howie's team, man.
Hey, let's take a look.
That's Howie's team. All my point is these players who walked, this was Howie running the show. There's a reason that the fight for power that third year happened. And the fight for power happened because, you know, I don't think Chip wanted to get rid of Deshaun.
No, I hear you.
I don't think there were things he wanted to. He can't be that dumb.
I want to throw
Can't be.
No, he can't be.
That's got to be Howie, right? I mean, he's got to be.
And he wanted to pay Macklin, and Andy backdoored him.
Andy Macklin, Dad came in, smack on it. It was like the Cam Newton photo with Michael Bennett. Right over your knee. Gotcha.
So let me throw something at you there real quick, because if you look back on all those coaches that we just talked about, every one of the coaches who started out hot came into a situation where there were already offensive pieces in place, and they had to build up the defense. Every coach that came in with a losing record had to build up their defense, build up their offense, and the defense is basically what kept them in games for the first year. So if you want to take a look at this year and say that this is the year that Doug's got to build his offense, I'm okay with that. But then you got to turn and you got to look at Jim Schwartz and be like, yo, your defense, which we all thought could be top 5 in this league, is not working. And it's getting worse by the week. I mean, you know, we've talked about it before. This wide 9 doesn't work unless you make in-game adjustments, and Schwartz just isn't doing that.
And you got to have good linebackers.
He said they blitzed 19 times last week against Cincinnati. I counted 7. So unless he's doing some exotic shit that I can't identify as a blitz.
Unless they made 0 penetration.
Yeah. I mean, unless I can't identify it as a blitz, there's no way he blitzed 19 times.
But this conversation, the same conversation that we sat on here last year and had about Billy Davis. Where's your adjustments? How's your defense getting torn up like this? How do you not, fix the one-on-one holes in your corner spots? Right? I mean, these are the same conversations, but the only thing that's the same are most of these players. And Howie. So who do you look at for the failure on the defense side of the ball? People, everybody on YouTube and everybody else out there listening, the thing you need to realize is this stuff we talk about, trending stuff, we're not talking about the offense side of the football. We realize rookie quarterback. We realize rookie head coach on that side of the football. What we went to as a stable of this football team before the season started, and you can go back and pull tape because it was the defense. We talked top 5 defense. Nobody sat here and was saying top 5 rosters. It was top 5 defense, maybe top 10 roster, and in this league, that's not a stretch, okay? It was the defense, which started hot. We had a veteran defensive football coach who's had real good defenses in this league. So we're relying on that side of the football to carry us. But for the 3rd year in a row, what has that side of the football done? They came up small. And not only small, go back and look at the yards. This defense is led up from week 8 on for 3 straight years. The numbers will make you sick to your stomach. And who the fuck is that front for? Who's the front 7 that you paid a lot of goddamn money to? And Michael Kendricks, who can't stop a peewee game run. Okay? How many tackles does Michael Kendricks have as an outside linebacker on the field all the time? All right, you have to start looking guys in the mirror. These are Howie's guys. Fletcher Cox, I don't give a rat's ass if you're doubled or tripled, because great players who get paid $100 million, you can double, triple, and bring a 4th over, and they're going to still create havoc. So I'm tired of the excuse. It's excuse-driven, and we've given it to this football team, me personally, for too many years now. And I'm not giving it to these players. I'm not falling in love with players until you give me a legitimate reason and you win in this league. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all of it. Jordan Hicks, okay, go football player, still young. But look around. Connor Barwin, you came up small. Howie.
Connor Barwin is a 3-4 outside linebacker.
But that's the point, though.
He's out of position.
But that's the point,
They
though.
need to get rid of him.
But the point is, Howie, I said Howie in it because this is you put a guy in a position where he's not suitable for it, right? Just go around it. Just go around the guys who've been here. Brandon Graham. Okay, Brandon Graham's the only guy you can say who's played consistently well. Has anybody seen Benny Logan? Because if the man next to you who's getting 3, 4, 5, 6 guys hitting them at once, where's Benny Logan been? Small, soft, right? He wants money. I'm not paying Benny Logan. I am not paying Benny Logan.
Meanwhile, the guy that we let go so that we could keep Benny Logan, Cedric Thornton, is ripping it up in Dallas.
And shit D. So just look at the consistence. That's your front seven consistence. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Go to your secondary. For the second year in a row, you've moved your Pro Bowl safety into a position which he moved out of because he wasn't good enough.
He couldn't cover anything.
Damn it! I mean, this is just real. This is the realest you're going to hear about the Philadelphia Eagles from us. Maybe ever. This is just it's stupidity. As us is yes. As three of us, do we analyze the game? Of course. Are we also fans of the game? Yes. This is common sense. I mean, these are things that are glaring. Go back and watch 5 minutes of defensive film and get back to us. Just get back to us and tell me how Malcolm Jenkins can't cover anybody.
Right, but
anybody in the slot.
Tommy, to your point.
Second week in a row, heart attack.
I was going to say, you need some oxygen?
Jesus.
Malcolm Jenkins used to be a corner, moved to safety.
Yeah.
Jalen Watkins used to be a corner, moved to safety. Now you're going to move Malcolm Jenkins back from safety to nickel corner so that you could put Jalen Watkins back at safety. What's wrong with this?
Wouldn't you rather?
I mean, I love Malcolm Jenkins, but what's wrong with this?
Wouldn't you rather go? This is real, right? Wouldn't you rather have Jalen Watkins play and not be good enough at the nickel, but at least have a Pro Bowl, all-pro safety behind him? Wouldn't you rather have that? We looked at this secondary, okay, and when he talked about Rodney McLeod, I'm tired of him getting heat, and Malcolm Jenkins, we said, hey, this is the top 3 pairing in football. I mean, it is. But when they don't play together, it's now hurting Rodney McLeod because Rodney McLeod is playing with a guy who's not good enough in Jalen Watkins. So, but who are the consistent? They're the consistents. Nolan Carroll.
Rodney McLeod's been exposed a little bit.
Yes. But my point is you're going to get exposed now.
Right.
Different from when now you have more communication stuff that you had down. Right, when we talk about preseason, OTAs all the way through, that now have to get changed because of your GM, in air quotes, not finish it.
Right, but let's look at the logic of this for a second, because when Lane Johnson got suspended, and everybody was saying, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to shift Alan Barber outside and play Wisniewski at guard? And what the answer was, no. We don't want to make ourselves weaker at 2 positions. We're going to plug Vaitai in. We're going to see how he does, but we don't want to make the rest of the offensive line weaker. I'm okay with that explanation until you want to go and pull this shit in the secondary and make yourself weaker at 2 positions. Like, why is it good for one side of the ball and not the other side of the ball?
Isn't it real simple who goes to the slot? You forget Jalen Watkins. It wouldn't be real simple. Leotis McKelvin goes inside. I don't care. Leotis, put the ego aside, babe. Sit a guy down. Hey, we're trying to win football games here. I need you in there. I can't put the rookie inside there. I need you here. I need to keep Malcolm where he is. Okay, Jim. Right? That's common sense. Put Leotis inside. Or
I don't care if you put back damn Chris Maragos on the slot.
Yeah, put somebody. Just don't move your Pro Bowler. So Nolan Carroll, another guy who's been here through this collapse. Right? These are just guys. Bowen and other guys on this D-line and other guys. I'm not saying every one of them is the issue, but these are the guys consistent on this defense. So, okay, you bring in Rodney McLeod, Leotis McKelvin, Nigel Ragland. But the core of frauds, of quitters, right, are still here. I don't know, man. Yeah. And they're signed to be here, a couple of them. And you hope that your Graham and your Cox aren't the two issues this football team, because Dick Vermeil called out Fletcher Cox saying that he's seen him quit on plays. Okay, Dick. I mean, I hope, from what I've watched, I wouldn't say quit. I just say
A little stupid, maybe.
I would say just not getting home.
Too many roughing the passer penalties.
Yeah,
him and Graham. Although the one on Graham was it was a little ticky tack.
I don't know. And I go back and I watch Marcus Smith make plays and Connor Barrow make none, and Benny Logan now, is it the groin issue that never fully healed? Is that a problem? But forget it for a second, because for 3 years, Benny, the middle of this defense has gotten gashed. And not only run, not gotten home.
All right, so
left your average corners at best out to dry.
Right, but then let's say Benny Logan is hurt, and you're going to run Bo Allen and Taylor Hart out there. These guys aren't NFL caliber defensive tackles.
No, who are they beating?
One of them's a chip guy. I mean, come on.
I'm sorry. Geno Atkins was getting doubled all day. Still found his way to the quarterback. You understand.
Oh, and when he doesn't get to the quarterback, he puts his hands up.
Yeah.
That would be a novel idea for this defensive line.
It would be. But when you're wide 9 on your D ends, it's hard for them to even get their hands up. When everything's upfield. And I'm not crushing the wide 9 or Jim Schwartz, but again.
Oh, I'll crush Jim Schwartz.
I'll crush Jim Schwartz, but not the wide 9. But again, is that we went through this defense? Do we get fooled? Because that doesn't sound top 5 to me now. Because I needed the players that we mentioned on this front 7 to play ball. Michael Kendrick gave us everything in terms of health.
Right.
We needed him to be healthy. He was.
Bottom line is he's just a good linebacker.
Now we know he stinks.
Okay, Howie.
Our biggest thing for the past couple of years was, man, if Michael Kendrick could just stay healthy.
But he got
now this year we're like, shit, if Michael Kendrick could just get hurt.
What do we talk about though before the
how
season?
long's he here for? Another 2?
He just got re-upped, didn't he?
Kendrick's 2.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about before the season that between McLeod, Jenkins, Hicks, and Cox, they had strength up the middle of the defense, and then they could build from the middle out.
Went up the middle, yep.
And Cox, maybe a little fat and happy with the contract. Hicks, inconsistent. Jenkins and McLeod, from week to week, you don't know what you're going to get out of them because the scheme and the game script dictate that they be all over the place.
I mean, I've seen Rodney McLeod match up one-on-one in the nickel. Wait, what?
You don't match your free safety up unless his name's Brian Dawkins.
And it's just, but it all starts with the construction. Okay? And
I'm going to say my biggest thing where I was bamboozled with this team, and I went to war for this part.
Bamboozled. I like it.
The defensive line.
Me too. Sean.
I was like, this is the second best defensive line in football.
Should be.
Besides the Jets. Because the Jets are just loaded on that. I mean, it's not showing, but they're loaded up front. And I was like, I was expecting the quarterback to hit the ground every other play.
Me too.
On his team. And now I can't even tell you the last time we got a sack.
Sean, I agree. I don't know when it is. And guess what? I thought me and you could cover, put Mike at the safety because we're getting home. Rob at the other safety. We're getting home to the quarterback. I completely agree with you. I said the same stuff when you were talking about it, and we were all talking about it before, that I thought that's how good this D-line was. But guess what? I'll go out on a limb and tell you right now. If Marcus Smith was playing the other D end, then maybe this would be that conversation.
And not even
because you got to get home somewhere else. Hold on, Mike, look at it from the quarterback. That left side of the line, right? Your Benny Logan, your Connor Barwin have not got it done. You can say Cox and Graham as a whole have got it done for the most part. That other side has done nothing. So every time Marcus Smith plays, look at the tackles per snaps. The guy's in on plays, and the best left tackle in the goddamn world, the country, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys, Tyrone Smith, he beat on the first time he saw him. Nobody beats that man.
This is what pisses me off. You talk about
people probably think Tom's an idiot. It's real tough. Watch a fucking tape.
You look at the tackle. You look at the tackle per play ratio of Marcus Smith, and yet somehow you and I are assholes for liking the guy.
But not even if people.
Mike, we said it weeks ago and took a lot
of heat,
of smoke,
lot of heat.
And then what did he do? That night he went and sacked Tyrone Smith. And I was like, I'm waving hands like it's my son out there. You go ahead, Marcus. You go ahead, Hercules. And I'm clapping, and that's how I felt. It was my baby boy.
It was your little cabbage patch.
It was my baby boy shimmying. Oh, when we get the video, that shimmy's gonna be ugly. But
All right, so let me bring this home for you guys real quick so that we can get on to our predictions.
Scotty's coming hot at you, Mike. That's 18 teams.
Coming
He
hot
said.
at you.
That's 18 teams. You read it off.
Tells-
That's 18 teams.
Tell Scotty I'll get back to you.
Read it off.
But real quick, Mike, before you jump into that,
Go
to
ahead.
your Marcus Smith point, if people are so disgusted at the name Marcus Smith, I don't know why, because like you said, I've been on board with you guys the whole time.
Everybody's telling you to
He's
go to bed
fast,
in the jersey.
But it's not even. Didn't we just give a shit ton of money to a guy named Vinny Curry? Where the hell's he at?
I don't know. Isn't it been the same MO for Vinny Curry the whole time, his career? They don't allow that man to play 3 downs. That man, every time he's on the field, he's another guy. Now, not as much this year. But in other years, he was always a guy who was on the field making plays. And a guy that I'll look at this year and say, you know what, he got paid, and I don't see him making many plays to you guys. And I see him on the field. You know, he gets snaps, but is it? I don't know. It's tiresome, isn't it? Now I feel dirty again. I thought that, you know, and I was a believer in Chip at the beginning. I'm not going to run from that. And I still am at the end. I think with players, his system works. It's just when you don't have good enough players, that system sure as hell ain't going to work, and none of them are. But I felt cleansed, you know, and I think we talked about it when he was gone after Chip left and Doug came in, but now my dirtiness isn't for the head coach. My dirtiness just climbed the goddamn ladder and is all over Howie Roseman. Because I'm never going to stop now. Until that man is somewhere down a hallway, it's like the Peter Holmgren shit. Like, hey, Peter Holmgren gets raises. They lose. Hey, Peter Holmgren, another raise. And then the guy's somehow still part of the franchise. Some fucking hell. He gets moved down the hall. He got like a whole job with a nice office. You know, or Paul Holmgren. I'm sorry, Paul Holmgren for Flyers. You know what I mean? That's how they worked him out. Always got raises, and the same thing with Howie Roseman. So you know, when's the loyalty going to go away? To Mike's point with Jeffrey, and stop worrying about your dollars and cents of your organization making and what you're making in your organization, and worry about wins and losses on the football field. And that starts with any good businessman has to have people that he trusts in positions. Now, if you trust Howie that much, then leave him here for the money. All right, Jeffrey? We're telling you can stay. Always as a backup plan. If you got to get rid of another GM and stuff happens, you need a filler, fine. All right, we've seen this draft. They'll get salt players who pays a lot of money too. But my point is that that's okay. But if you care about wins and losses on the football field, and I'm not saying you had to play the game to be a football guy, but Howie's had 6 years to try to show you he's a football guy, and it's equaled nothing. 0 playoff wins. So as a city that wants to run everything and everybody out of town, head coaches, and we always look at head coaches, when are we going to look at the people who construct and put together the rosters for the head coach and want their jobs? I don't know. And I'll leave you with that, boys, in 2 minutes, and that's where I sign off on it. I mean, I feel like I'm in a fucking hamster wheel.
All right, so
I really do. It's like deja vu every goddamn Sunday after a game.
Let's circle this back for a minute, then just real quick.
Circle as much as you want. We've been
Jeff, stay or go?
Who?
Jeff.
It's to stay because I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Howie.
Down the hall.
Yeah, don't
Down the
move
hall.
far.
All right. Doug, stay.
Stay.
Okay.
For now.
So I think we're all pretty much on the same page with that. I hit Scotty back a little bit. Scotty's rattling off teams, and basically he's splitting hairs because what he's doing is he's naming teams who had coaches that didn't win a division, which is fine. But when you're going to throw teams like Seattle and Denver in there, who just won the last 2 Super Bowls, okay, fine. They may have had coaches since 2000 that didn't win a division, but their ownership went out and fixed it and got guys in there.
Let's not talk about who's ahead of that team.
And you know
Let's not talk about who's ahead of the Denver Broncos.
And you know what they won? Super Bowls.
But who's making the decision for the Denver Broncos? That's a former, that's a
John
Hall of
Elway,
Famer.
yeah.
Right.
John Elway, a football guy like we're talking about. Keep them out. They're out.
All right,
But-
predictions.
Yeah, but the winningest football team in the last year is the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'll say that every week. And as they continue to be the winningest football team over that stretch in the regular season. Predictions, go ahead, boys. And Robin, we can just run it longer. You know the deal.
All right. I'm officially off the bandwagon after last week. I can't pick them. I can't pick
I
them.
almost did. Shit. I almost forgot.
Can we get a nails lock of the week?
No, don't you dare put that on me.
I'm going to go. They're at home. I think they're going to get after them. I'm going to say 24-13. They lose.
Oh, Washington gets after us, you mean?
No. We're going to get after Cousins. We're going to hold them under 30.
Okay, I got you.
But we ain't putting shit on the scoreboard.
Boat raced.
Eagles are boat race?
34-14. And it's going to get ugly in the stadium. And I think this might be the wake-up call for some guys to start picking it up for the last few games of the year.
Well, shit. If that didn't come after last week, and I'm going to hear.
You know what? On the road, that's why. If that game happened at home last week, that would have been the wake-up call.
Well, this is what I'm going to say.
But here's the thing with the respect, though, with Peterson. Peterson came out after the Packers game and said, we're going to find out these next couple games who wants to be here next year. Ain't nobody showed me they want to be here next year with that performance Sunday.
No, and like we said, it's the same thing. But again, I mean, yeah, look at these players, and if they want to be here, you know, this is a way to get a win, and you know, essentially, I mean, if you get the win, it's a big win, I guess. I mean, it's a big divisional win. I mean, it gives you some false sense of confidence, and maybe some false sense of hope that you can do something for their sake, not for me, because I know there's no false sense of shit.
People
here.
are going to be on social media Monday. You know, just three more.
Yeah.
That's 6 seed.
But I really don't feel like I don't see how I can see how they win the football game. I don't think they do. But I'll go and do what I do, and and when I keep it close, it means I have no confidence. I'll go 24-21 Eagles. Sarah just field goal. Listen, man, I mean, if you can't, no matter how bad it's been, if you can't find it in you to get excited to come play at home against a division rival, well, then guess what? Then we find out that this whole roster as a whole, for the most part, doesn't need to be here moving forward. And that's where you even find out more about it. And he is right. Who wants to play down the stretch? All right, 1 week after he said that, nobody looked like they want to play. Well, there's 4 more because this isn't his roster. This isn't his guys he picked. So
I don't know. I think it's real easy for some guys on this team to go on the road against an AFC opponent with the Monday night hangover, so to speak, and get boat raced and try to blame it on, we played Monday night, we're on the road.
But you're playing for everything. Everything's in front of you,
our best receivers out, blah, blah, blah. And no, I hear you.
And I'd be okay with that if the Bengals, the team that you just got your ass kicked by,
were any good.
2 best offensive players were playing. Then I'd be okay with that logic.
I just think that there's guys on this team that they need to come home and basically hear it from the home fans before they wake up and realize that they need to get their shit together.
Well,
we could only hope.
We'll see. It should be another depressing Sunday.
Oh, Scotty actually hit on the point that I made last week. Said we need a win this week. We better not go 0-6 in the division. That's a fireable offense to me. That was a question.
I agree.
That was a question I asked you guys last week. If you go 0-6 in the division, do you lose your job?
No.
It depends how you lose.
Let's not overreact to this.
We're being emotional.
I know, but let's not overreact about division because he could go 0-6 this year and easily go 6-0 the next year. That's how it works. You know what I mean? That's just really how it works. So he could go 0-6 this year and come back and go 6-0 the following year. You know, we talked about going to take your lumps this year. We knew we were going to take our lumps. So knowing that we're going to take our lumps, let's not overreact now to if one of the guys who's going to take a bigger lump than anybody, who's the head coach, who just got here and inherited all this, right? Let's not fire him because he didn't do a better. Because did he not do a better job than the head coach last year with the same roster? And a rookie quarterback. I mean, is he doing a better job with a rookie quarterback than the head coach last year with the same roster?
I just want to ask you.
See, I'm on the outlier. I think if you give Chip Wentz, he might be able to do some things.
Oh, I agree with that too. But forget that because that's a good point, and I agree with that. And if Chip had Mariota, but we won't do that.
I just want to ask you one question.
Yeah.
How many days till pitchers and catchers?
Is it 140?
No, days.
Oh, no, 70.
No, it's like 70. 73.
It don't matter.
maybe?
The Red Sox just won the World Series.
Ah, good Lord. Anyway,
Oh, that's that, boys.
good stuff.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant. Our Wednesday night show sponsor. Make them your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, gibsonmayer.com. Tom.
Mike,
AM.
in the PM.
A2DRadio.com. Again, thank you all for listening. Tom Arnone, Michael Mataraki, Sean Redden, Rob Povey on the 1s and 2s. AIM Sports Showcase, Friday morning. Philly Fan Radio, Friday night. Agree, disagree, Sunday. Music, Saturday. Eagles, whatever, Sunday. We out. Peace.
Tom and Mike, AM in the PM, is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, certified public accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Mike from Tom and Mike AM in the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, certified public accountants. 215-369-3300. Or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's www.gibsonmayer.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.